People don't know what they want until you give it to them. That's a quote by Steve Jobs, Apple co-founder and wearer of turtlenecks. But Y Combinator, the biggest startup accelerator in the world, tell us something else. Build something people want. So we need to build something people want, but they don't know what it is. Exactly. This tweet here inspired me to go pretty deep on this because it suggested these approaches were in conflict. But I'm not here to stir up drama between a guy who's been dead for a decade and a half and a company who is inanimate and can't hold a grudge. These two viewpoints actually fit together perfectly and help tell us a lot about how to build a successful product and startup. So if you don't know who Y Combinator are, they're a startup accelerator who help launch a lot of huge startups like Airbnb, Stripe, DoorDash, Reddit, Coinbase. It's ridiculous how many names there are. They are easily the most successful startup accelerator in the world, and their motto is build something people want. And they'd say that starts with talking to your users. The important distinction, though, is what to talk to them about.
Talking to users is so critical that at the core of kind of YC's teachings, there are only two things that you must do. You need to code and talk to users.
There's an excellent book called The MON Test, and it's the perfect book to study user feedback the YC way. It gets you to ask the right questions about the problem to properly understand it, and really discourages you from actually exploring your idea for a solution with your customers. This might lead to them politely nodding along when you tell them your great idea for a solution without actually giving you any useful feedback.
The best startups are looking for problems that people face on a regular basis, or that they're painful enough to warrant solving.
You see, ideally we're looking for a hair-on-fire problem. Something so extreme they just need this problem solved as soon as possible. And the important thing about what YC does is they aren't encouraging their startups to go out and ask their users what they should build. Instead, they just need to learn as much as they can about the problem.
Hold the problem you're solving tightly, hold the customer tightly, hold the solution you're building loosely.
One of the most famous examples is Brian Chesky, CEO of Airbnb. He was staying with the Airbnb hosts for 6 months in the early stages of the company to constantly be learning about the actual problems his users face on both sides of the marketplace, being a guest and talking to the hosts. Now let's take a look at that full Steve Jobs quote. Some people say, give the customers what they want. But that's not my approach. Our job is to figure out what they're going to want before they do. I think Henry Ford once said, if I'd asked customers what they wanted, they would have told me a faster horse. People don't know what they want until you show it to them. Well, that's the often referenced quote anyway. I couldn't really find where it's from. Whether it comes from Jobs directly or not isn't important. It's often misunderstood. He's stating here Apple's job was to figure out what people wanted, but that doesn't mean they don't need to understand the problem intently. And Jobs definitely knew what people wanted, and just how to market the product to that problem they were having. And to see that in action, we can look at the iPod.
How many times have you gone on the road with a CD player and said, oh God, I didn't bring the CD I wanted to listen to?
Jobs' approach was to start with the customer experience.
You've got to start with the customer experience and work backwards to the technology. You can't start with the technology and try to figure out where you're going to try to sell it.
MP3 players had already been around for some time, but were considered too big and too bulky. Now Apple could take the problem they understood and apply that to the MP3 technology to get...
That's iPod. I happen to have one right here in my pocket, matter of fact. There it is, right there.
Y Combinator's motto is focused on finding the right problem. And Jobs and Apple here are applying an innovative solution that people didn't know they wanted.
So, this amazing little device holds 1,000 songs. And it goes right in my pocket.